the heart and soul behind every business. Stories. Welcome to Business Story of the Week, hosted by me, Joshua Laurie. From setbacks to comebacks, from tragedies to triumphs, we inspire entrepreneurs through conversations that matter. Witness the magic that turns dreams into reality. Whether it's your career, business, or life, your success is always one story away. This is Business Story of the Week. And welcome back, folks. Welcome back to Business Story of the Week. I am your host, Joshua. And today's question is it really possible to transform your health with just one decision? And what decision might that be? Well, our guest today is the perfect guest to answer that question. Rob Evans is a globally renowned health and fitness authority and the founder of Studios with a Z personal training dedicated to transforming lives through tailored nutrition, workouts, and mindset coaching with a unique focus on sustainable lifelong health changes. Rob has built a multi million dollar empire. As a high performance coach, he's committed to living in the top 1% of health for his age. Very impressive and constantly pushing his limits to be the best version of himself. Rob's passion for helping others is fueled by his personal journey and his dedication to creating lasting positive impact. And today, Rob is going to share his stories, his perspective, and experience with us. Rob, thank you for coming on the show today. How are you doing?
No worries. Thanks for the invite, Joshua. It's an honor to be on your show, and congratulations on your success with your show.
Well, you are also not new, of course, to the world of podcasting, having done 3,500 yourself episodes. I would love your insight on there as well. But also, you quite built yourself a career and, a success, a profile in the individuals that you've helped with studios, personal training. But Rob, before we really get into this, where did it all begin? Like, did you always know you were going to be a personal trainer as a child? Any pivotal moments and experience in your life? What is the story of Rob Evans?
Well, I certainly didn't start out this way. From a career perspective, I didn't really know what it was that I wanted to do, and I was
Mm-hmm,
so I'm pretty short. I'm only 165 centimeters, so 5'5",
mm-hmm,
and I was bullied as a kid, and I wasn't a particularly smart student, so I didn't really know naturally what it was that I wanted to do, and I found that I was good with numbers and maths and that kind of stuff, and I ended up going on to
mm.
be following an accounting type
Oh,
career.
wow.
So I became a chartered accountant, and I worked in it's now PricewaterhouseCoopers. It was Coopers and Lybrand when I joined it in 1990, and I went on to become a chartered accountant. I then went and worked through some of the biggest brands in Australia here, and I did that for 19 years, just working my way up the corporate ladder. And I every about 4 years or so, I kept asking myself the question, what do I didn't love what I did. And, I was listening to people saying that, they
Mm-hmm,
absolutely love what it is that they do. And I'm like, man,
mm-hmm,
what does
mm.
that feel like? Because
Exactly.
I'm not there. And
Mm-hmm,
so I just became hungry for something more. And it seemed to just go in sort of four year cycles. Every 4 years, it was like I had this itch that said that, like, now I need to move. I need to do something else. And I would move from just one place in corporate to the next, to the next, to the next.
Right.
The last 13 years of my career, I was in the one organization. It was very diverse, and I was able
Mm-hmm.
to shift within departments and do very different things. And that was really cool, but I still didn't love what I did.
Interesting.
And I got to that stage where I'd always been doing my own training, and what got me started into that, as in my own like physical training, working out in the gym and stuff. And what got
Mm-hmm.
me started in that, there was in 1988,
Right.
a guy threatened to kill me, And
Oh.
it was, so I was 20 at that point, and I guess that was a stage in my life where I thought I was over the bullying. Like I was bullied because I was
Oh
short,
my
like in
goodness.
high school and stuff, and I was like
Mm,
physically
mm,
and also verbally abused by kids and stuff, and like
mm,
pushed
mhm.
over, kicked, punched, that sort of stuff.
Right.
And when that happened in '88, I was like, I'm too old for this stuff to be
Okay.
going on anymore. And I thought,
Mhm.
that's it. And I felt immobilized. I felt embarrassed. I felt like I couldn't fight back and whatever. And I thought, no, this is ridiculous. And
Unbelievable.
I then, it was, it's funny how things happen. I was reading through my local paper within that, I don't know, days after that happened. And I saw this editorial in my local paper that was talking about this guy that had put on 10 kilos in 10 weeks at this particular gym. And I read it, and it was like my whole head was like exploding with, that's going to be me. And so
Wow.
I went out to that gym, and this is back in 1988. So the gym
Okay.
whole thing looked very, very different back then. The
Mhm.
person that ran the gym owned the gym. There was no such thing as a 24/7 gym or anything like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
This was
Mhm.
a gym at the guy's house, and he
Right.
was a professional bodybuilder and power lifter and stuff. He
Right.
held some world records. And that's how I got started. And I did put on that 10 kilos in 10 weeks and completely changed my life. But I never saw it as being a career. So then fast forward back to, it was 2007, and I was doing a workout in my own gym then, and I was asking myself that same question: what am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? And I literally looked up at the fluorescent light in the room, and I said, why don't I do this? And I was at a different stage in my life. I mean, I'm divorced now, but I had a young family. I wanted to. My wife at the time, she wanted to return to work more on a sort of a full time basis. I wanted to
Right.
spend more time with my kids. They were like, I don't know, 1 and 3, something like that at the
Mm,
time.
mhm.
So I
Mhm.
I decided that I wanted to move into that sort of full time dad role, start the
Wow.
business on the side. Already we were,
Mhm.
quite
Mhm.
financially well set up, so it gave us more options.
Mhm.
And so I spent 2 years. Like to get the qualification, to get the insurance and everything in for my business. I did that, and then in 2009, I decided to walk away from the corporate career and
Wow.
do this. So now we're 15 years in. Life is
Wow.
very, very different. I've been
Uh-huh.
divorced for over 10
Wow.
years now. Um, and yeah, I mean, I've had various coaches along the way, probably uh, three, four, five different
Wow.
six. I'm on my
Interesting.
sixth coach now, and yeah, I'm just such a different person than I
Wow.
was before. I'm smarter. I mean, when you're running your own business, you're forced to have a different mindset. The employee
Yes.
versus the entrepreneur or business owner mindset is just so
Yes.
different.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's where most of my personal growth has come in my life since I've been running
Right.
my business. So I guess I bring what I like to think is, I'm turning 56 this year,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
certainly here in Australia, the majority of people that are in the industry are really young kids,
Yes.
young
Yes.
adults. They don't have that much life experience. And
Mm.
this is why most of the work that I don't call myself a personal trainer, even though my business is called Studios Personal Training,
Okay. Okay.
I call
Okay.
myself a transformation coach because I think kind
Interesting.
of personal training kind of cheapens what I do, and it puts you into a bucket with everybody knows a personal trainer.
Exactly.
But I
Exactly.
like to think that I bring a level of professionalism and maturity to the industry that's really missing, because
Right.
it's not really an awesome industry, to be frank, in
Mhm.
terms of it's an easy qualification to get.
Yeah.
Most people don't run a proper business; they do it as a
Right.
hobby, and they're not doing
Interesting.
like they're running another job on the side.
Mhm.
Whereas me, like
Mhm.
this is everything that I do
This is
every
it.
day,
Right. Right.
and
Very interesting.
I'm really trying to. Most of the work I do now is on people's mindsets and
Uh-huh.
nutrition. So it's kind of like
Uh-huh.
the reverse of what people would think. like the training part is the easy part. It's like
Right.
how do we change people's mindsets to
Exactly.
uh, to look after this holistic whole of life kind of change
Exactly.
for
Exactly.
their health and wellness, and not just something that they do for a little bit of time, and then that once we can tap into that, we can get them to change their food, and then the training part just forms part of it. So I'm really
Right.
not interested in working with people that just want to do something for, okay, let's get me in shape in 12 weeks, and then that's it. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, how do we get people to make these
Mm-hmm.
changes for the rest of their
Mm-hmm.
life? And um, that's what I love doing.
Well, you really put us through that quite the journey, Rob, and
Yeah.
there's a lot to unravel on there. But thank you for sharing all of that. First of all, this is a quick question that I just realized and just came up with throughout that story. If you had to do it all over again, would you have gotten into personal training a lot sooner?
Yeah, good question. I think if I, knowing what I know now,
Hmm.
I think obviously my skill set in business is is very different to anyone else that is say doing something similar to
Yes.
me, because
Yes.
I've come through chartered
Exactly.
accounting and learning all of
Yes.
those skills. I've
Hmm.
been in boardrooms. I've had like the skill set that I've built because of my profession. I wouldn't have built that any other way.
Exactly.
And so there are no, I mean, certainly have no regrets, because I think I've been
Have.
exposed to some tremendous people and learnt a lot of
Hmm.
things from a management style,
Hmm.
and sort of a self management,
Hmm.
like management is in management of staff and how to,
Hmm. Hmm.
run a business, but also to help me personally, like in my self development and so forth. But I think if I mapped out where I am now and I wanted to do it differently, I think I probably would have done something like, say, sports science degree, because I went to uni, I did a bachelor in business accounting. I wasn't going to go back and do another 3 year degree to do what I do now. So I was like, okay, I feel like I can do it now. So what's the minimum requirement, and to enable me to get insurance and all that kind of stuff. And so that was the pathway that I took. So if I had to do it all again back in, 1986 when I first
Uh-huh.
started, well, actually, I started uni in '87.
And
I would, I probably would have done like sports science, something like that, and then maybe it's hard to know back then. I mean,
of
my
course.
cat has decided to join us, um, but back then, perhaps I would have gone into more working with. Maybe it was high performance athletes. Uh,
Right.
don't
Interesting.
know what the opportunities would have been back in the '80s. Maybe I would have gone on to work with um, like Olympians, work at the
Right.
Australian Institute of Sport or something like that.
Right.
Honestly, now I think if I, knowing what I know now, I possibly would have gone into sports psychology or just
Wow. Interesting.
psychology in general, because I'm really fascinated by the
Hmm.
mindset and what that does. And certainly, I know since the pandemic, the demand for
Yes.
psychologists
Yes.
is so massive, and
Has
a
increased.
lot of the work that I'm doing with clients now is all around other stuff that's going on in their life, which sounds
Wow.
weird. And I'm not a psychologist, but in some ways, I think I am, because of the conversations and the work that we have to do with people to unravel what's going
Of course.
on in their life, to
Of
help them with
course.
their health and wellness. So, um, yeah, I probably would have gone down that path. But I love the physical transformation
Of
that
course.
can take place. And like when I was working as in corporate, one of the
Hmm.
clients that we were working with, I think we saved them, like in today's money, it was about $225 million we
Wow.
saved them. But I didn't get the same joy because it was corporate, as opposed to what I do now, which is really having a positive impact on changing someone's life. So increasing the number of years that they're going to live, but also being pain free, the happiness, the joy that they have in their life because of the
Of
changes that
course.
they've been able to make
Hmm.
to themselves. And like that's really powerful. So
Of course.
that's a really important part for me. And guess if I think back to, say, the psychology part,
Hmm.
like most people see a psychologist, say once a month, or maybe it's every couple of months, something like
Hmm.
that. Where I'm seeing
Hmm.
people, like 3 times a week. So that I really become an important part of their life, and I
Mm-hmm.
often don't realize just how much of a part I play in people's
Yes.
life. And I had the like I have some really strong relationships with my clients. They often become good friends. And I in December last year, one of my clients invited me to a wedding, and it was a fairly small wedding as far as some
Wow.
weddings go. And when she invited me, I thought, wow, I mean, it's a no-brainer. I'll just
Wow.
go. And she said, oh, if you can make it. I said, no, of course I'll
Of course.
come,
Wow. Wow.
because I knew that it was a relatively small sort of wedding. And then I'm sitting there at the wedding, and I only knew her. I hadn't met the groom before. And I don't know, there's about 100 people there in total. And she stood up and gave a speech about me at her wedding. And I'm like, wow. And
Yeah.
she was talking about how important I was in her life, and the impact that I'd had. And I knew that I had a big impact
Right.
in her life, but I had no idea that it was that bigger
That
impact that she
big.
was going to
Yes.
stand up
Precisely.
at her wedding and talk about me in front of
Fascinating.
everybody. And I thought, wow, that's a really beautiful moment. And
Yeah.
often I forget, because I just do it every day,
Precisely.
just how important I am in people's lives, in impacting them in a positive way. So I'm in
Love
a
that.
I'm very privileged to be able to do the work that I do, and
Mm-hmm.
have people really accept me into their life, and
Right. Right.
they just open up so much. So I don't take that
That's very
lightly.
fascinating, Rob, and I can see why it would feel more rewarding that way. You did call yourself a transformational coach, as opposed to just a personal trainer, right?
Mm,
You're looking for substantial, meaningful, and long-lasting transformation, not just the surface level. And you yourself you've quite transformed yourself, your own life as well. So this is something that's important to you and something that you are now teaching other people. It feels more meaningful work is what I'm thinking,
yes.
is what I'm thinking, taking from that. And you do this through tailored solutions, is what you said and what you mentioned in your site. Your approach, it emphasizes nutrition, workouts, mindset coaching, like you said, is something very psychology as well, physical psychology, fitness psychology. How do you create first these tailored solutions, and what are the first things you see to tailor them to personal individuals? I'm a big proponent of fitness as well, Rob. I love, and I think it should be a part of everyone's repertoire, everyone's habits in life. But how do you allow people to get into that mindset, and why do you believe that individuals are more effective when it comes to just going through a traditional program?
So I guess one of the big problems with people with their health and wellness. So most people, certainly in my country here, we're in winter here at the moment, so it's like
Mhm,
people crawling into their caves, and it's not necessarily a high priority for a lot of people.
mhm, mhm,
That when it starts to warm up, so spring, summer, the gym memberships go up. People
mhm,
join. They go for about 12 weeks, and then they kind of just stop altogether.
mhm,
And that's kind of the majority of people. I mean, statistically, we know that in Australia here, we're not too far behind the US, but we've almost got 70%. I think it's about 67% of our population is considered either overweight or obese.
oh,
I
mhm,
think it's about
mhm,
70-72% in the US. And they're
mhm.
horrible
Wow.
statistics. And
Oof.
that doesn't necessarily mean that the other 30% is healthy either.
Right,
And
right.
so people tend to go through these cycles. Now, the problem with say, just the gym system is, like when I mentioned earlier about me joining back in 1988, it was very different back then. There weren't as many people going to gyms, there weren't as many gyms
Right,
around, and there certainly wasn't a
right.
24/7
Mhm,
option. But the
mhm,
person that ran it spent time with you. They'd show you how to exercise, and if you went to the right place, they were doing it the right way. Now, I was just fortunate that I went with like a world class person that set me up with the right food and the right training. But
Mhm.
uh, that's my always been my approach to making sure that when I'm working with people, it is either one on one or one on a small group of people, so that I can work out what each person needs. So in terms of how I
Mhm.
tailor it to people, it really starts with like I give people a free consultation, so I can see, firstly, is this somebody that I want to work with? Because if you're not prepared to, like, if you're not coachable and you're not prepared to do the work
Right.
that I say, and
Mhm.
like if people say, yeah, well, I want to achieve this, and they're not very specific, and they're not very like, oh, well, why do you want to, achieve that result? Oh, well, so I want to look good in a bikini in Bali in 2 weeks' time. It's like, or 12 weeks' time. It's like, oh, good for my wedding. It's like, oh, what's your plan beyond the wedding? Oh, no, I'll worry about that later.
Right.
How committed
Right.
are you to achieving it? Oh, yeah, like a 7 out of 10. It's like, okay, that's probably not high enough for me,
Right.
and it's not the right drive. So I want people that are really committed. Like they're at 10 out of 10 in terms of
Right.
wanting to achieve change. They know why it's really important for them to achieve that, and so it's really working out. So where is somebody at? What are they aiming for? How do we fill that gap? And
Interesting.
it's really, most people, where they fail is to really define what's important for their health,
Mhm.
what health looks like to them, what their fitness looks like to them,
Right.
and just why that's really important to them. Because
Right.
that the fuel and the momentum and the
Mhm.
aspiration is
It's
in
very
the
important.
why.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's really asking what it is that you want in your life. And it starts internally. It's not like you can teach this to everyone to be like that this is important in your life. This is something you should focus on. And which is a great way to start really, because you're looking for these mindset before you even start getting, because it's difficult to work with people who doesn't see these things, who doesn't see that value. But I imagine you've encountered individuals as well that, okay, they have a more deeper meaningful goal, but then we're human, it's natural to kind of just, for the pendulum to swing and start being more hesitant, and I imagine these are common barriers, these are common obstacles. How do you allow, or how do you help your clients face or challenge these obstacles? How do you, when people self doubt, when people start fading or waiting from their goals, how do you help them overcome these personal barriers when it comes to changing their health?
Well, I think it's really about the connection that people
Mm,
have
mm,
with why they got started to begin with. Like I work with some clients that honestly are probably never going to
mm,
reach their full
mhm,
potential because of the barriers that they
mm,
have created for themselves in their minds and
mm,
in their lives.
mm.
And I know
Exactly.
that you probably have different types of clients that I work with. I've got those people that they're a 10 out of 10 in terms of how focused they are. They know exactly what it is that they want, and they do whatever I say that needs to be done. They're following their meal plan. They're doing the workouts. They're doing the extra stuff in between. They're consistent with their food. They're
Right.
they're tracking what it is that they're doing, and they're just on fire, right? Because they're just so focused. And then I've got other people that are really not in a good, say, mental health situation.
Right.
And I know that probably in the sessions that they see me is possibly the highlight of their week. And
Hmm.
I don't mean that because I'm so good. I mean it because
Right.
yeah, they get quality sessions with me, but everything
Hmm.
else in their life is really at a high stress point or anxiety point, and so I just know that I'm making a big difference to their life
Right.
by virtue of the time that they get to spend with me, because they might be in a lot of toxic space,
Right.
and just positions in their life that perhaps are really 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 challenging for them to change, uh,
Yes.
be- for various circumstances that we all have, right? And because
Hmm.
it can
Hmm.
be very difficult to make those changes, and some people just can't for whatever reason. So when it comes to somebody that, say, has been focused and then
Right.
got off track. So I've got a client that's like that at
Hmm.
the moment, for instance,
Exactly.
and achieved some really
Oh
good
wow.
results.
Okay.
has achieved some really good results and then become complacent. So what happens is you set a goal and you get, I don't know, say the goal is here, and they get
Mhm.
up to here and they're so close, right? They're so close to achieving their goal that they become complacent. It's like, well, yeah, that was my goal, but I'm so close to it that I'm really happy either way if I don't achieve it or I do, but I'm
Mhm.
so close now that I'm so comfortable that it
Yeah.
really doesn't matter
Yeah.
either way. And so then normally there are some things that come up, and so I check in and to see how they're tracking with their goals and so forth, because I've worked
Mhm.
with clients like over 10 years and beyond, that they've just been coming to me for that long because
Right.
they just enjoy the process, they enjoy the
Wow.
training, they enjoy the conversations and the mindset work that we do.
Wow. Beautiful.
And so when somebody is like that, I can tell that they're like physically and health wise, they're doing well, but
Mhm.
something's missing for them. They don't
Mhm.
feel like they're on the same momentum path that they were,
Mhm.
because they've been doing some different actions to get to the point where now they're stopped and they're not still going. And
Wow.
I normally find when you ask the right questions that they've become a little disconnected with why they got started and why it's really
Mm.
important. And so, even though
Yeah.
physically, aesthetically, they might be very close to where it is that they wanted to get their goal, there's some other
Mhm.
things that are starting to suffer. So their mindset, they're starting to become a little bit distracted. So they don't have as much energy. They're not sleeping as well. They're not as focused in their day to day work or other aspects of their life. And so those things start to accumulate, and all of a sudden you feel like, well, yeah, I'm doing better than I was, but I'm going through
Right.
life, but I'm not like bang, 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 bang. Like
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm so focused on every area of my life that I'm
Right.
just firing on all cylinders. So what I do is I get them to say, well, okay, you just need to reconnect and come up with a greater definition
Interesting.
for what health means to you. And when I say that,
Wow.
what I'm talking about is I could ask you, and I could say, Joshua, so what does health mean to you? Now you're going to list off maybe up to 5 things that are important to you.
Okay.
But to put this in perspective, what health means to me is I have 42 things. Okay. Now I could never think of those 42 things just in my head. I had to write them down. And
Uh,
I wrote down, say, the first 3 to 5 that I could think of in my head. And then it's like, oh, okay. So then that fifth one links to something else. I'm like, oh, yeah. So I tend not to write now, I type. And so I type that down, say, oh, then that leads to this and to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, until I got to the 42nd one. And the reason that I tell you that number is that I will never ever stop, because I have 42 reasons as to why I do what I do.
wow. Of course. Of
Right
course.
now, if
Mm.
if you only have one or two, if you say, well, no, I want to look good, okay, I want to feel good, okay, I want to be happy, all right, so that's 3 things, right? That's like sunscreen. So as soon as you get in the shower, and that's going to wash off and that's going to disappear. And this is why most people, they start but they don't continue, because they haven't gone deep enough. You've got to go really, really deep, right? So if you have only half a dozen or so reasons as to what's important to you in terms of your health and wellness, so I'll give you a couple of the things that I've added most recently in my life.
Mhm. Please,
I
please.
think about health in terms of energy. I think
Mm.
about, all right, I want to have an unstoppable amount of energy in my life. And then I also want to be really focused as
Mm.
well. So if you think about it, if you're, say, in a really bad health state, well, one, you don't have a lot of energy. And if you don't have a lot of energy, you're not going to be focused either. Because if you're tired, you're not focused. You're
Yeah.
just like,
Of
oh,
course.
I'm just so tired.
Of course.
You're
Of
not going to
course.
be focused. So if you've got more energy and you've got more focus, you can do
Mm.
more of everything and
Of course.
anything that you want to.
Yes.
And then I attach work ethic, which is,
Great.
okay, well, now I'm working smarter, I'm working harder,
Mhm.
I'm working more consistently. I've got the energy, I've got the focus. I'm going to take my life like this to a whole other
Mhm.
level. Now they're components that I've added to my life as I've gotten older,
Mm,
because the aesthetics thing is still part of me. But again, that's only so far. And there are
exactly.
some people that you might think, oh, aesthetically they look good, but they're actually not healthy. So
Mm,
I want
that's
to
true.
not only just pass any medical test, like blood tests, scans, all that kind of stuff. That's important. I want to be pain free, but I want to be energized and I want to have a lot of focus. So I have more
Of
energy
course.
and focus at this stage of my life, at about to turn 56, than I
Right.
did when I was in my 20s, because I've
Exactly.
developed these skills and I've created this focus, and the
Hmm.
depth of my reasons as to why I got started and what's important to me is so long that
Yes.
I will never ever stop. And
Hmm.
that's why people stop, because
Hmm.
they haven't defined what's important and why it's important to them. So that's the work that you have to do.
Yes,
And even as I
precisely.
say this, there'll be people listening to this that say, oh, yeah, that makes sense, but they won't do the work.
Mm, of
And
course.
so
Of course.
another thing that drives me is I think about becoming or remaining in the top 1% of health for my age.
Yep.
Okay, now that
Wow.
changes over time,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
as you get older, and you may not
Hmm.
be as healthy as you were in your 20s. I think I'm healthier now than I was in my 20s, but I keep that as my goal, top
Hmm.
1% of health for my age. And if I liken that to success, if you think about success like a pyramid or a pointy tip of a spear, right? There are not that many people that are successful, right? The top is not overcrowded. The bottom is like the
Hmm.
pyramid. The
Hmm.
bottom is overcrowded. The top is
Hmm.
not. And this is the same with every aspect of your life. Health and wellness, most people are not successful. If you want to be successful, you have to do what most people won't. So do the
Yes,
exercise. Sit down,
precisely.
write down what it is that you want for your health, define it, why is it important to you, and come up with a whole bunch of reasons why, so that you will never ever stop. That's the way that you want to approach it. And then you won't stop. If you stop, you haven't made it big enough. So that client I was talking about, I'm seeing her again today. Actually, she's just come back from a week's holiday,
Okay.
and I
Okay.
said
Okay.
I want you to use that week to define what it is for your health and make it really strong. You've got some time, make it really strong, and so we'll see how
Okay.
she's gone.
And
But that's why people stop.
it really does go deep in what you do, because transformation is not only surface level, right? It goes deep. You have to ask what you need to do. You have to really know what it is that you need to get done. And transformation, again, doesn't just happen on the surface. If you cannot, it's easy. Everyone can transform physically, right? Like you said, everyone can look aesthetically good, but it doesn't last long if you don't know your why and if you don't know what it is that you're really doing. So it's great that you unraveled all of that, what you do when it comes to transformation. I understand that you also have initiatives like the Kids Munch and Nutrition Program, and you've developed several community programs and initiatives as well. Um, Talk to us a little bit about the impact of these programs and how important they are to you and being involved in the community. But also, is this something that you would like to see moving forward? And what are your future aspirations in the future, Rob? You mentioned that you want to stay 1% in the top when it comes to healthy of your age. But what are other aspirations, and how do you see studios, personal training moving forward in the future?
Yeah, sure. Well, firstly on the kids program,
Hmm.
yeah. So when I had younger kids, so they're grown up now, but one of the things that I could see is we've got to do something to help stop the deteriorating health situation of
Mm,
our globe. And so
yes.
how does that start? Well, you've got to start with the kids. So if we can educate the kids better around what it is that they should be eating,
Yes.
like how
Yes.
healthy practices and the everyday things
Yes.
that they should be doing,
Hmm.
it's becoming more and more of a challenge, because I'm certainly here. Everybody's lifestyle is getting busier. The cost of living
Busier.
here, I mean, I live in Melbourne, Australia. It's one of the most expensive cities in the world to live, which means that most families, pardon me, both need to be working. Where I
Mm,
live, it's out of the, like it's 70 k's out from Melbourne CBD. And so that means a lot of people need to travel here, like travel in closer to the city for work. So there's more time on the road. Both families are working. It means that there's, I suppose, traditionally, if one parent would stay at home and look after the kids and stuff, now both are working. Everybody's stressed. There's financial stress. There's less time to prepare meals. People are eating more like takeout, quick solutions, Uber Eats, all that kind of stuff. And the kids are therefore spending more time in front of electronic devices, eating less home cooked meals, eating more uh, or less nutrient dense food. They're not getting the
Yes.
recommended daily intakes of
Mhm.
fruits and vegetables
Mhm.
and proteins and stuff. And so the health is deteriorating. People are eating more and more fake stuff each
Right.
day without the real ingredients that they need. So I
Mhm.
started the program to just work with the schools where my kids were going to, and then it kind of spread out from there as there were, word got around that I was doing it. Ultimately, I think what I would like to see is like nutrition should be something that's taught in schools by default and not just as okay, let's have somebody come in and do a presentation. But it should be ingrained in everything that they do from kinder. I've done it at preschools or kindergarten here through to primary schools and even high schools. One of the challenges in the schooling system here is that the teachers are under so much pressure and there is so much content that the teachers are put are given to teach the children that this isn't a priority and there's no more room in the syllabus to be putting more information in. So it would be good to see more and more of this stuff go into it. I think one of the challenges that I've had, I
Mhm.
had
Mhm.
my youngest daughter.
Mhm.
She passed away 12 months ago from
I'm so
anorexia.
sorry.
Yeah, thank you. And she had a 2-year struggle with anorexia,
Wow.
and that was caused by bullying. It was caused by exacerbated by social media
Of
as well.
course.
So
Mhm.
I think the next level is that even from the kinder age, there needs to be more education of our children about body image and kindness and health, as opposed to the stuff that's going on. I'm getting at the moment on my social media, I'm getting these ads for these AI type filters
Mhm.
for body image, so
Mhm.
six packs and things like that, and
Mhm.
it's crazy. It's like they should just not be allowed because
Yes, of
it's
course.
making like it's creating something that's fake and it's
Yeah.
making it look real. And people
Yeah.
are posting this stuff, and we know how much people use filtering and that
Yes.
kind of stuff. And it doesn't teach people about health and wellness. And
Mhm.
we've never been living in more a time where mental health is such a
Yes.
such a
Yes.
problem,
Yes.
and of course, it's affecting kids as young as 4 years of age. I was on 60 Minutes here in Australia a few weeks ago, and I loaded the clip onto TikTok. It's up to almost 150,000 views, and the
Mhm.
number of
Mhm.
people that are commenting, mainly young girls and
Mhm.
mums, that are saying that they've just been diagnosed with anorexia, or
Oh
they've
my.
just getting out of, they're recovering, or their parents are worried about their kids, and social media and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it needs to be a major part of what we
It
teach
is.
in
It
schools
is.
now, as
Mhm.
well. And all of these things, they're all connected, which is why the mindset and why I do so much work on people's mindset is so important. So the stuff that we do there with our kids is really, really important. So I am now becoming a big advocate for recovering from eating disorders, and obviously my daughter specifically anorexia, but they're eating disorders. Um, there's a number of different sort like types of it, but it's
Of
getting
course.
worse and worse in that
Mhm. It is.
space. So, I mean, altogether so far, I mean, we've got 2 dog therapy programs now that we've been able to launch and fund through 2 major hospitals in my region here, 2 of the biggest
Mhm.
hospitals in Victoria. So that's been exciting. Some
Mhm.
of the work that we've been doing enabled us to get $50 million of federal funding in
Wow.
unfortunately, it went to research and not solutions. But just a couple of weeks ago, through the specifically the work that I was doing with Alfred Health, we got $3.25 million of funding just
Hmm.
because of me, essentially.
Wow. Wow.
Um, and that's starting, I think, on the 25th of July. We're
Wow.
starting to do some work in that, and they're getting me involved
Wow.
with, designing that program from the ground up. So that's exciting stuff.
Hmm.
In terms of my business, I mean, I just want to continue to be the best version of me. I continue to grow myself every day, be the healthiest version of myself. I like to
Hmm.
lead by example. I mean,
Hmm.
like you said, with the podcast, 3,400, I do two podcasts a day. Today it'll be three because I'm on your show as well.
All
I
right.
so I record those every day. And for me, that's just about success. People say, how do you do it every day? Well, it's like, well, what do you have to do to be successful every day? You've got to be consistent with doing the right
Yes.
thing. For me, I've just
Yes.
chosen to add podcasts into that. Um, I already have a successful business. I like to help more and more people around the world. I enjoy like being invited to shows like yours to be able to have a positive impact. If I today we can just impact one person positively. I started my podcast,
Hmm.
gosh, all those years ago for one client. That's where I started. I thought this one client, they needed
Hmm.
help outside the sessions that they were doing with me. So I started doing it for them. And now I'm in 70 plus countries and
Hmm.
helping people all over the world, which is really cool. I think the way that I work with clients now has changed. Like if I think back
Hmm.
to 15 years ago, people were mainly coming in for weight loss to see
Hmm.
me.
Hmm.
Now it's more about being healthy. Since COVID, definitely healthy, having more energy, being pain free, and then they mention about weight loss. So I think I see the next pandemic for the globe is mental health. And so
Yes.
I think the sooner that people can realize the benefits of strength training and like doing some cardiovascular work and following a
Yes.
meal
Yes.
plan,
Yes.
it might sound really hard, but this is why I do the tailored solutions about saying, okay, so what are you doing right now? What do you want to get to? And let's do it at a pace that you can handle. So you might say to me, well, I want to get to this position. I say, well, what are you doing at the moment? So, okay, well, you're pretty close, but let's change this, this, and this. It might be about just getting more protein in or some more plant-based food here, here, and here. It might be getting you to eat more frequently. It might be getting you to drink more water. It might
Yes.
be getting you to do some strength training because most people don't do strength training. And then when you understand the
Yes.
benefits of that,
Yes.
so it really needs to be a tailored approach so we can
Of
see
course.
what can you handle and not
Hmm.
saying okay well you need
Absolutely.
to now add 6 hours of exercise a week into your schedule and you need to be eating 6 meals a day and you're only eating
Hmm.
three
Of
right
course.
now and it needs to be
Of course.
this and that. It's like man
Yeah.
that's just too much. I
It
can't do
has to
that. So
work. Yeah.
yeah,
It has
so
to work for the person. Hmm.
that's right. So it's coming up with so what do you think you can handle? You're
All
a,
right.
like, do
Precisely.
you think you can handle three more nutritious meals a day right now? So yeah, I could do that. Okay, great. Well, let's do this and let's do that for 3 days and see how you feel, and we'll check back in.
All right.
So that's why working with a coach is really important because you could say, oh well, yeah, I didn't like this, or oh, well, I did like
Right.
this. So okay, great. Well, let's keep doing that. But what can we add in something
Fantastic.
else as well?
All right.
Mm.
Rob, these are great. I mean, you really unraveled a lot of the things that you do and how deeply you go into the work that you do. I'd love to give this opportunity. Where can we find you? Where can we connect with you? Where can we learn more about Studio Z or Studios?
I'd say
Um,
studios, but yeah.
okay, Studios. Let's know how can we connect.
Yeah, sure. So the easiest way, and this is globally, I obviously work with people locally, but I work with people all around the world. It's studios, so
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
studios.com.au. If they go there, you can get a free consultation with me. If you can see my name on the screen, it's Rob with two B's, Evans.
Yes,
I'm on
yes, yes.
all the social platforms. Just send me a message, say you on Joshua's show and you get a free
Mhm.
consultation with me. It's with me personally. All we need is an internet connection somewhere in the world, and we
Of
spend
course.
about half an hour talking about where you are, what you want, and
Right.
even if it's just to give you some free information, some free programs, whatever. I'm happy to do that.
Mhm. Well, this is fantastic, fantastic episode today. But Rob, I love what you do, and I wish you nothing but success in your endeavors. And you are doing great work to the people and the individuals in the lives that you're changing. Rob, thank you for coming on the show.
It's a pleasure. Thanks, Joshua.
Fantastic, and to all our audience and listeners out there, I hope you found this as enlightening and is motivating. And we'll see you on the next one.
All right, so here's the thing. We try to get a little bit better every day, but we can't do it without you. So if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe below. And if you have any comments, just leave them in the space under.